Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to do the top 5 perfumes for the month of April. 'Tis the year 2025, and I am kind of I'm in a spring mood, but then a part of me wishes it was still winter because I don't like the way things are going with the world at the moment. So my soul is hibernating, but the world is moving at a different pace than my sense of well-being is. So let's just say that I am going to analyze perfumes that make me feel spring-ish, but also I am wearing perfumes this month that are also making me feel kind of uh, that are allowing me to feel as if it's the past, you know. I mean, and I'm talking like past, even 2024, maybe even back to October, right before Halloween when things were still good. So anyway, let's get to the first one. But first, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thumb up the video. Thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing. Everything I do say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. I am going to blend in the first perfume. And I hope you like my background as well, the little AI-generated background to that represents an apartment in spring. You know, it could rain. Outside could be sunny, but it also could be cloudy. It could be pre-rain, post-rain. Very April, Northern Hemisphere. Okay, let me show you the first perfume. So this is the one that, look how beautifully it matches the background. Giorgio Beverly Hills. This is the one that is also on my top 5 spring perfumes this year. So go check out that video as well. Man, what can I say? It's, I love it so much. This is the sun factor. This is the sunny one. This is the sunny perfume. This is the perfume that gives me hope. This is the one that represents a spring that I am embracing. And I am hopeful that the summer that is about to come is also going to be as fabulous. So April with Giorgio Beverly Hills is a musky whiff of fresh air. And I want to say also, because it's one of my mother's, if not my mom's favorite perfume, it kind of reminds me of my mom, so it also makes me feel very, very good every time I smell it. It's a white floral, gardenia-based fragrance that in the 80s was very opulent, over the top, even forbidden from being worn in certain restaurants and places where people would gather together to eat because everybody would wear it. It was so opulent back in the day, very musk and civet heavy. Nowadays, it's been reformulated. It is much more watered down than it used to be. But you know what? Still in its watered down version, it is still light years better than a lot of other perfumes out there. My humble opinion, it is considered a cheapie these days. So if you're lucky, you can find it for, you know, like a 90 mil, about, so 3 fluid ounces, 15 to $20 even, you know, uh, which is a great deal. So you can find it made in Spain currently. There's also a version made in France, made in the Netherlands, made in the UK, made in the States. The vintage ones are made in the States and in France. The made in Spain version is the lightest of all of them thus far. But hey, I mean, if you can't find anything else, you know, in any other iteration and formulation of Giorgio Beverly Hills, made in Spain will also do it. For me, maybe I let the bottle macerate a little bit, you know, with the oxygen, just for it to grab a little depth. But other than that, sunshine in a bottle, hopeful perfume, much needed these days. If I find the shopping link to purchase this one through YouTube, I will be posting the link down below. All right, or on the screen as well. Thank you so much for helping out the channel. Moving on to my number 2 this month. Jean-Paul Gaultier Classique, the Eau de Toilette concentration, which is the only concentration currently available that is somewhat reminiscent of the original early 90s release of Jean-Paul Gaultier. It is a powdery ginger, vanilla, makeup, lipsticky masterpiece of a perfume that Jean-Paul Gaultier described as a fragrance that he wanted to smell of his grandmother taking him to the opera or to the theater, and him sitting as close as possible to the stage where he would smell the uh, powder of the old wooden stage of the theater and the makeup that sedimentates throughout the decades and the centuries on the floor of the theater, and how it kind of then permeates the air, and how it gets to the nostrils of the person watching whatever theater piece is happening, right? And so the interesting thing here is that um, Jacques Cavalier is the perfumer behind Classique. Jacques Cavalier is currently the artistic director of all Louis Vuitton fragrances, and there is a very special type of rose accord in Classique that he created, invented. It's a kind of a combination. It's like a recipe, like his own cocktail for a rose. And it's a special distillation of a rose as well. I don't know the exact technical term for his specific type of rose, but he uses that same recipe for his Louis Vuitton fragrances. So there's there's a smidge of Classique DNA inside of Louis Vuitton fragrances as well, even though this one is much more affordable than Louis Vuitton perfumes, and it is still in production. It's a masterpiece. I'm talking about the Eau de Toilette in particular. Also to note that Jean Paul Gaultier does come in a tin bottle, and the original name for this perfume was just, well, I can't cover the whole thing because it cuts me off, but it used to be called just Jean Paul Gaultier. And then as Le Male came out, and with time, they renamed Jean Paul Gaultier's perfume to Jean Paul Gaultier Classique. But if you do find vintage cans that just bear the Jean Paul Gaultier name without Classique, it's not necessarily immediately a fake. It's just that it is the version that predates the renaming of the fragrance. And the can, some people, I've seen some people, I don't know if they did it to clickbait and to try to get more traction and engagement on their social media videos, but some people have tried to actually use a can opener. Let that sink in. A can opener to open the top of the lid like Popeye would open a can of spinach. Please don't do that. I mean, do whatever you want if you buy it, but actually down here is you can see there's like kind of that slit around there. So once you take the plastic foil that protects the can, and it's a beautiful aluminum can, by the way, you just kind of pop this bottom, this kind of golden bottom, just pop it open, and you lift the top, and this entire top part, including this golden part, the whole thing is lifted like a lid, and then on this golden pedestal there is a flocked red. It used to be transparent plastic, then they changed it to red flocked, like a little cushion in which the bottle is standing. So you lift the lid and the bottle is standing on the little cushion. So it's very, very beautiful. It's a pity to ruin the whole container and can, because you think that you should open it with a can opener. Anyway, the perfume is wonderful. It is a kind of a slight time travel machine. It takes you to the past. It takes you to the future. It is a futuristic performer fragrance. I know that every time I wear it, I feel like I'm ready for the spotlight. I'm ready to step on a red carpet. I'm ready to entertain. I'm ready to perform. It has pizzazz, but very elegant and very 90s French chic. Beautiful 90s fragrance. Love it to bits. If I find a shopping link to this one, I'll also post it down below. Also, this one comes in a plethora of sizes in the Eau de Toilette concentration. Sometimes they even make a 15 milliliter spray. Then there's a 30 mil, there's a 50 mil, there's a 100 mil. I don't know if they made a limited edition. Sometimes they even have like 120 or 150 mil, but very rare for Classique. Usually 100 mil is the biggest size. The classic size of Classique was 50 ml. 100 ml came a bit later. So if you want the proportions of the shape of the bottle, of that human body with the guêpière, with Jean Paul Gaultier guêpière, you should look for the 50 ml bottles, because originally this bust was designed for the 50 ml proportions. In the 100 ml proportions, it's a bit chunkier, you know, nothing against that, but just saying it's not the original concept of the bottle. I mean, they have enhanced it in the proportions up to 100 ml, but 50 ml is the OG. Okay, so that's my number 2. Loving it for that performative aspect. You know, you put this on and you're ready to conquer the day and whatever trials and tribulations are coming your way bureaucratically, at work, school, or just on the street. This one kind of gives you the little bit of pizzazz to get through the day. At least it does with me. And that's mostly thanks to the vanilla and the ginger inside of this perfume. And with time, as it oxidizes, that vanilla will turn an ambery dark accord. So this pinky, powdery color is going to turn darker and more ambery and golden and even brownish. Doesn't mean that the perfume has gone bad. It just means that the vanilla has oxidized. Does not mean that the perfume is bad. So always smell it first on yourself before you decide, oh, the liquid doesn't look as light anymore. The liquid changing color doesn't mean that the perfume went bad. All right, thumb up the video if you're enjoying it, and let's move on to number 3. Number 3, oh man, I don't know. I feel like since quite a while now, every month, I have to have at least one perfume that is heavy on incense, whether it be frankincense, like in the case of a New Look. I have a bottle here because I'm wearing it also today. A very, very, very heavy on the frankincense or any other type of incense, really. It's like every month I find another incense to go with. The incense in Christian Dior's Poison or Poison, the original purple bottle, that incense with tuberosa cord. Oh man, I was craving that so much in the past month. So that one was very much present in my March selection, but then New Look is frankincense. Okay, it's a different type of incense. It's a very clean, of the soul elevated type of incense. Plus, because of the bombastic level of aldehydes in here, we have this kind of strange duality. On one end, those aldehydes make this perfume smell very clean and crisp and airy and beautiful blue skies, crisp, cold blue skies. It's a cold spring morning. But then the frankincense kicks in as it warms up and it turns into this warm, inviting, spiritual experience almost. You know, I know that incense is usually used in many religious instances and in many different religions, but this is not a religious type of incense. It's more of a spiritual, that transcends religion. It's like more of a personal spiritual elevation, and you just feel at ease with yourself. It's a very, very peaceful perfume to me. Now, strangely enough, though, people either love it or hate it. There's a lot of people that really do not like New Look. They cannot stand it on themselves. They spray it on. They cannot stand it. I'm telling you, though, for me, it was love at first sniff. The trick with this one is to dose it very, very sparingly. Literally on the chest, one spray for me. I'm good for the entire day. When you overdose with this one, it doesn't work. And it sticks to clothes like weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, it's insane. It's very, very powerful. Even though the juice is very transparent and it doesn't look like much, it's very, very powerful. Francis Kurkdjian is the nose behind this one, and New Look by Dior is part of their Collection Privée range. So it is a little bit on the costlier side. And for travel purposes, I purchased when it came out the 40 ml, but they've changed their sizes currently, you guys. So they used to have the 40 ml and then the 120 ml, the 250 ml, and for some rare editions of their fragrances, they also did the 400 ml. However, or was it 450 ml? They've changed all the sizes because I think to facilitate travel, because I was also always complaining and telling them, why are you doing 120 ml bottles? You can't fly with them because, you know, when we pass through security, if you are flying, you can't take a bottle that's bigger than 100 ml. So 120 ml means you gotta check it in with your check-in luggage, and then things get stolen or broken. I don't like to do that with very expensive perfumes. I like to have them in my hand luggage. So 40 ml is perfect for me, especially because you're going to use just one spritz of this and it's very powerful. But then they changed the sizes, and now apparently you can get 50 ml of this one and 100 ml. Now, with the prices, I haven't followed LVMH in a while now because I got this over a year ago. But I do believe that they possibly kept, correct me if I'm wrong, I would have to check this, but I think they kept the same price of the 120 ml for the 100 ml. But you know how they're shady, how they up their prices all the time. But allegedly. But anyway, so yeah. If I find a shopping link to this one from Dior, I think there is a direct Dior YouTube link for this one. I'll post it down below. It's beautiful, really, really beautiful. I would not get a huge bottle because, like I said, because this one is very, very powerful and intense. It's an overdose of aldehydes, and they are very sparkly and clean. Clean, clean, clean. Over the top clean. Like crisp, like they're so crisp and sharp. It's like a cold, crisp blue morning that slowly with time warms up. So this is for, you know, maybe for those early mornings in April when the temperature is still not too warm outside, you know? It's not for those hot spring days, but rather for the cooler April mornings. That's what I would say New Look is for. Really, really beautiful. Mm. So that would be my incense of the month, if you may. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with incense lately. It's a phase; it'll probably pass. But I think I'm yearning for uh, spirituality, you know, because like the world around me is going crazy and people are just insane. So you're not really looking. Well, I can speak only for myself. I'm not really looking for solace or answers in other people, but I'm rather, society has kind of pushed me to look into my own self, to be more introvert. So I think I'm kind of realizing, well, no, the answers, we hold all the answers within ourselves, right? And that sort of energy um, really takes me, or steers me towards incense-based fragrances, because incense is very introspective. It's very introvert. It's very self-reflective. It's a type of smell that just connects you more to your inner core. And I've just been needing it a lot lately, right? So it really does the trick for me. You know, a little incense here, a little incense there, switching them up every month, different incenses every month, and it just hits the spot. It does the trick for now. Let's see. Let's see what the future will bring. I mean, hopefully there won't come a time where even an incense won't be enough to help me elevate my mood and be more hopeful. But New Look, this little sparkly background that you see from the Dior website, it really suits this perfume very well. This kind of effervescent, bursting a freshness of the opening aldehydes. Francis Kurkdjian did really good with this one, in my humble opinion. And yes, there is also a another New Look, 1947 New Look by Dior. It's been discontinued. That's Demachy's fragrance, which I also have in my collection. I've reviewed that one as well. Very different perfume to this New Look. Very, very different perfume. So if you have both, they're both beautiful in very different ways. And 1947 New Look, the fragrance by Demachy is, at least when it's a fresh batch, it's a very, very pinky liquid, as opposed to this almost transparent juice. Thumb up the video and subscribe as we're moving on to number 4. Number 4 Number 4 is number 5. And I chose this photo from the Chanel website because I like the angle that they took. Usually the bottles are always photographed frontal. This one is kind of twisted and at an angle. And also I've noticed that they've possibly, this could be an older photo though, because I do have number 5 when they rebottled it. This is Dior de Toilette, by the way. When they first rebottled it into this bottle, because it used to be it used to come in the refillable plastic black container with a golden ring around it, which is my favorite of all time. But then when they first rebottled them, this is the 50 ml. They also had a 100 ml. You press it in the back, and then this little hole, that's where the spray comes out of. This was a short-lived bottle design, which they also used, believe it or not, for their Les Exclusives perfumes for maybe just a year or so. And we're talking Les Exclusives before the 2006 reintroduction of the Les Exclusives. So before 2006, they only sold 4 Les Exclusives in Chanel boutiques, and there were no beauty boutiques back then. So you would have to go to a Chanel fashion boutique to purchase Bois des Îles, number 22 Gardenia, or Cuir de Russie. Back then, only available as eau de toilettes and extrait bottles, 15 ml. So then they changed the bottles. They discontinued these for the Les Exclusives. They discontinued those for Les Exclusives, and they brought back the entire range. Back then, 11 Les Exclusives. I think the original launch was 11 in the 200 ml bottles, which are these here. And then number 5 was given a new bottle. They took away the spray and they gave it a little magnet closure here. The little lid was magnetic. Strangely enough, though, they kept number 19, Eau de Toilette, with the silver stopper here, with the silver lid, with the little sprayer for years and years. Okay, they did not change number 19, Eau de Toilette. They kept it like this, but number 5 was given a magnetic closure thing. Now, apparently now they've changed it again to a click lid, like they did when they changed Cristal to the new iteration of the bottle for the Eau de Toilette. We could do a whole history lesson on Chanel perfume bottles changing throughout the years, but I digress. I'm going to stick to just the reasoning why I have number 5, and I said it and now I'm going to regret it, but because here's another example. This is a refill, which they also discontinued just last year, I believe, in some countries, for the 50 ml metal container, which is so gorgeous, but I have a whole explanation and review of this particular bottle and why I love it so much. This is your classic if you're working in the fashion field and during Fashion Week in Paris. This is the one, if people love their Chanel number 5 Eau de Toilette, this is the one they put in their bag because it doesn't scratch, it doesn't have a sticker, and the lid, even though this is a refill, right, it has its own sprayer and its own little lid. It doesn't occupy a lot of space, and it's perfect, and it costs way less than the actual metal lacquered container that gets all beat up and scratched if you put it inside your bag. So this is a professional little secret. You take your number 5 Eau de Toilette like this on the go, and I'm devastated that it's no longer available everywhere, but this is the version that I like to buy in the 50 ml when I am on the go. And it is the most floral of all Chanel number 5 iterations, and it is a beautiful abstract floral. Not very white floral, but you know, the jasmine is in here, so you could say it's a white floral, but it's more rosy, very powdery, an abstraction of a musk and a civet. Now, Eau de Cologne has been discontinued of number 5 since many decades, and that one was quite civet heavy, but you know, civet is no longer used in perfumery. Well, synthetic compound, yes, but not actual civet. So, Eau de Cologne is no longer in production. But Dior de Toilette, man, there's a freshness to this perfume, which is so beautiful in April. It makes you feel like all of nature is going to be in bloom very soon. And it's like saying goodbye to winter. It's a kind of a goodbye to the cold weather, and we're looking forward towards the warmer days in spring. abstraction of warmer days in spring. This one is beautiful to wear to work appointments, meetings, even dates, daytime dates, or early evening, late evening. I would always recommend the Extrait of Chanel No. 5. If you're going to really go for that type of date, I would recommend the Extrait. But this is a daytime one, early evening, fresh on the town. Also, if you want to spend a day on your own, going to a museum or going shopping, this is the perfume to wear. It is refreshing. It is soothing. It is very modern. It is and this is Ernest Beau, by the way. So Ernest Beau, of all of the iterations of Chanel No. 5 that we have today, Ernest Beau did the Extrait and the Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Toilette came out almost the same time as the Extrait, so we're talking 1920s. Yeah, so the Extrait came out in 1921. Eau de Toilette came out also 1921/1922. The Eau de Parfum No. 5 was not Ernest Beau's creation. It is Jacques Polge's creation from the 80s, believe it or not. Before the 80s, Chanel No. 5 never had an Eau de Parfum concentration. And then we have Jacques Polge's 29/2010 Chanel No. 5 Au Première Eau de Parfum. And then we have Olivier Polge delivering the No. 5 L'Eau Eau de Toilette flanker in 2016. But if you want the original No. 5, there's only two. The original Ernest Beau No. 5. It's only Extrait or Eau de Toilette. Beautiful stroll down memory lane and history as well. If you feel like you want to smell like Chanel from the 1920s, not 2020s, this is the way to go. It's so sophisticated, abstract. It's almost like, of all of the Chanel No. 5s, this is the one that gives me the most that Cubist Pablo Picasso vibe for a perfume. Pablo Picasso and Coco Chanel were big friends, just FYI. So Cubism was very much reflected within her own credo and an aesthetical vision. And so Ernest Beau, I think, also had a very particular keen eye for whatever was in the sphere of influence of Chanel, or in which sphere she was influenced by or within. So this is a very abstract type of painting if we were to transform a perfume into a painting. And that abstraction is also very much spring with all of its life and bursting energy and colors. It's a beautiful refraction of what Chanel No. 5 represents. Fractals, cubist painting of Chanel No. 5 is the Eau de Toilette. I will definitely find a shopping link for this one, so I'll put it here as well. Thank you guys so much. Thumb up the video, subscribe, and we're moving on to No. 5. You would think that No. 5 would be No. 5, but no. And there's a reason why this next perfume is my No. 5. Dolce Gabbana Parfum, or just the red cap. This was their first perfume that was created late 80s, early 90s. Actually early 90s, but they were already working on it in the late 80s. What a masterpiece. And I hid this one up until the end now as the 5th fragrance for a reason, because it is often said that Dolce Gabbana Parfum is kind of Dolce Gabbana's 90s, 80s, 90s version of Chanel No. 5. It is a modernized version of Chanel No. 5. It is, it opens up with aldehydes, just like Chanel No. 5. And then it goes through all of the floral accords, like Chanel No. 5. Chanel No. 5 also has Lily of the Valley in it, quite strongly so, also patchouli. In one of the iterations of Dolce Gabbana Parfum, in particular the Prestige iteration of it made in France, which was the last iteration of Dolce Gabbana Parfum before Dolce Gabbana cut cords with Prestige or Shiseido, depending how you pronounce it, and took all the rights back in-house and started producing all of their perfumes in-house. And Domenico's brother, I believe, is the director of their beauty range. And so Dolce Gabbana, this particular bottle is a photo of the Prestige Shiseido iteration made in France. Prior to this, Procter & Gamble made it. Prior to Procter & Gamble, the original was Euroitalia, which is the best concentration ever. Procter & Gamble, I don't know. I mean, okay, but not as powerful and deep and mesmerizing as the Euroitalia version of Dolce Gabbana Parfum. A masterpiece like no other, really. I mean, it's on a whole other level. If you can find it, and usually you know it's the vintage if the cap is a mattified, translucent but matte, very matte, opaque red. And the Procter & Gamble also, so that's a little bit tricky, but you got to look at the sticker at the bottom, and usually the little spray, not the nozzle, but the spray tube that's inside the bottle. Usually Euroitalia's is very thick and kind of white. Procter & Gamble started using thinner tubes. Here they photoshopped it out, but the Prestige or Shiseido version has a clear red lid. So here you don't really see it, but this, like if you see a vintage Euroitalia version, like you don't really fully see the nozzle, the sprayer, because this red is very opaque. But the Shiseido version is a clear red plastic, and so that's how you know. But also the smell. The Shiseido version is very lily of the valley heavy, and way less vanilla, way less musky civity accords. But it, you know, and I purchased my Prestige version as the formulation just came out, so I have a very fresh. I had a very fresh batch that aged deliciously. So when you first start using it, it's very lily of the valley heavy, very synthetic. It lacks the depth and the intensity of the Euroitalia version. However, with time, this one also gains a little bit more depth. The vanilla matures, ripens, oxidizes as well. You never really get rid of that lily of the valley, so this one stays more fresh and light as opposed to its two predecessors. Now, ever since Dolce Gabbana took their own perfumes back into their own hands, this one is now made in Italy again. And the Dolce Gabbana gold print name is now shifted to the mid portion of the bottle. And it's going to say like Dolce Gabbana, and then at the bottom it's going to say made in Italy. Or Eau de Toilette at the bottom. No, I think. But anyway, this is how you know that you got kind of a new version of the made in Italy, but not Euroitalia. The first iteration of Dolce Gabbana Parfum was made in Italy by Euroitalia. Now, the latest iteration, owned by Dolce Gabbana, is made in Italy, but not by Euroitalia. And so I have not smelled it yet. It's really hard to find. It is in production. It is available, but not like, you can't just like easily find it everywhere. They do the Pour Homme version readily available, the toilette everywhere you go. But this little baby here, quite difficult to find, even in its Prestige version, which is no longer in production because Dolce Gabbana took over the control of their perfumes. Even the Prestige version was really hard to find. Strangely, I found it on Amazon back then, and the price fluctuated like crazy. There were days when you could get a 100 ml bottle for like $50, and then days when the price went up to $130. So currently, good luck. If I manage to find a shopping link to either one of the versions, I'll post it here. But why do I like this perfume so much? And I've reviewed both versions, the Shiseido and the Euroitalia, on my channel, two completely different reviews. And the first original Euroitalia version is actually a very emotional review. Tears were shed. That's all I'm going to say. And I am wearing, I think, Dolce Gabbana blue denim shirt from the 90s in that review, as well as possibly even a Dolce Gabbana Coppola hat. Well, anyway, very emotional review and a lot of memories connected to this perfume. And this is, I think, why I'm also into it now this month, reminiscing about youth, the past. It kind of everything fades, and with time, things become just, I don't know, bleached out. Memories fade, photos fade, pictures fade, Polaroids fade. But then your whole essence and your whole being has a tendency of anchoring itself to a few cardinal points from your past. And perfumes have this wonderful power and magic of triggering these emotions and anchoring you very, very well to your past, right? And so, in a way, smelling this perfume just makes me go back to a time where I don't want to say life was like totally carefree, because it never was, but life was a little bit more carefree only because it was more youthful, and there was like optimism in the air, and I felt like, how youth, you always think the world belongs to you. You could do anything, you could conquer anything. But then the problem with youth, and I've said this often in my videos, is that the curse of youth is that, well, kind of in our society at least, youth only exists as long as you're not aware that you have it, that you are youthful. You are youthful as long as you don't know that you are. And as long as you don't understand what youth means or is. When you're living it, you're not pondering any questions about what it means. But then, one day, something happens and you realize. And all of a sudden, you become aware. And you know what youth means. And the curse is within acknowledging it. The second you become aware of youth, that's the moment you lose it and you are no longer youthful. And there's something so poetic about this, because then you have the memory of it. The second it's gone, the second you don't own it anymore, the second you are no longer youthful, that is also the second you start realizing that you have memories. Um, that's this perfume for me. It is very much, especially in its vintage form, uh, a reminder, a constant reminder of lost youth and the power of memory, and also how powerful perfumes are in preserving memory, maintaining memory, unlocking what we thought were lost memories, or triggering even memories perhaps from some past lives. And this is why I love perfume so much. And losing myself in perfumes, with perfumes, is my personal escapism in these dark times we're living in. And this one, boy, oh boy, does it hit the spot. That was my number 5 for April. Let me know your favorite perfumes that you are wearing currently in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your perfumes. And subscribe to my channel. Thumb up this video if you enjoyed it. Never give up on fragrant love. Take care, everybody. Bye.